All right, we're live. It's that time again. The guests are going to be a little bit late, so we're going to walk up and take a look at the plants. NWA Canine Clubs already. First one in the building. What's going out there? Still putting out content to see. Haven't been spending a bunch of time online lately. Have technical difficulties. Been missing a lot. So Heather's at club right now. So I'm not sure where Zion's at. He said he'd be here. He didn't say he'd be here at 5. But see how the volunteers are doing. A couple of them are getting pretty stinky. Doing pretty good. I haven't been taking care of. Well, I have been doing some weeding. Taking what I pulled, throw down there for mulch. I believe I've seen this one here is going to be or not going to be, but is a female. I can get a I see nothing right now. Got a magnifying glass. A better camera. You hollering about? My shepherd pups. They follow me all over now. Follow us in the woods. Got all kinds of dill coming up out here. Volunteers. Cannabis and dill sure come up. And oats. Clover. There's my echinacea. Going along pretty good. Weeds, get these out of here. Another one. Looks like I probably accidentally ripped some leaves off that one while I was weeding around these others. They look almost just like there's a yellow dock leaf. It's kind of shitty looking, but they are different. You see them side by side, but at a glance, here, not a lot of difference. My hostas. Echinacea row. These ones must be thirsty. Starting to flower, but wilted right up. Yeah, I haven't been doing anything for this garden. We got some radishes popped up. Well, let me go look at some seedlings. There's some puppies. We got some puppies up here. Look what they want. Let me find them in this grass. What you doing? Here's one of my band dog males. Really nice dog. Escape artist. You're gonna have to go into the mix. Nice pup. Western Maine Mang, how you doing? Just seen you popped in. Who else we got? Okay, that's it. Sometimes I don't keep up with the chat. Hard for me to see anyway on this phone. Yep, you get that mouth fetish too, don't you? Pretty nice pups. Belgian Shepherd stud bred to my Pioneer Shepherd female. These pups are on top of it. They already think they own the place. We got 3 in here now. Somebody not saying nothing. Some Jerusalem artichokes. These things are awesome. I planted 2 little rows of chips in here. I cut one of these tubers up into slices like a potato chip. Planted 2 rows of them about 4 foot apart. And they did this in 2 years. These things, you know, tall they'll get. Yep, and they grow like a wild sweet potato. Yep. And here's some autoflowers. That's a girl. They're starting to flower already. I think they got dwarfed by that cold snap we had. Pretty much everything went dormant. Got this laying down here so the damn dogs don't trample it. Weeds are coming up fast. Come over here. Where you're not allowed to be. This way. Confusing you. Now my voice is over here. There you are. There you go. New start. So we got here. There's the markings on it. Oh, toad. Toad strand. Can't remember what it's a Chem 91 cross. Another one. These are some ones I replanted. We went that cold snap. Some of my seeds rotted. It's like a refrigerator out here. So these kind of droopy. I'll come back into her. As we get warm out here. You coming? Hey, this way. Oh, we got somebody knocking. Let me get the conversation going up in here.
Caveman, you here?
Yeah, I'm here. You're here too. You're live.
Yo.
Zion to the rescue.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Everybody can hear you. Yep.
We're live right now. Hey, what's up?
Yep. I'm just showing off the plants, waiting for you or Heather or you and Heather to show up. Get the conversation going.
Oh, okay.
Silent Truth. What's up?
Okay.
Hey, that reminds me. I don't know. You got something on your mind come up this week you want to talk about, or
Me?
something yeah, or I kind of got something. If you don't,
Shoot, you go first. Tell me what's been on your mind.
all right. Well, I got on the conversation with somebody about pack mentality. What's up, Operation Annihilation? They're saying that dogs don't have a pack mentality. Dogs are not. And then there's along with that and I'm not saying anything either way. I'm just saying what the topic is. And our wolves our dogs domesticated wolves. So there's a couple
Okay.
of areas there.
It's about to be interesting.
Yeah.
I'm around my friends.
You're breaking up pretty bad.
Yeah, I'm out of the country right now.
Yeah, me too. I'm a hustler, so I always got a pack mentality. I love it. Well, that's a good place to start. Our dogs, wolves. All right, you guys. And people have their different. Oh, I lost him. That's why he's not responding. Oh, wait a minute.
All right. I'm connected to Wi-Fi now.
All right.
Connected to Wi-Fi.
Yeah. So what's your take on how we ended up with dogs? Like, why is there dogs and wolves, and not just wolves?
I mean, like, if we get down to like the nitty gritty of it,
Yep.
like, let's just think about how it naturally works. So the more dominant D wolves weren't the ones that ever came to the tribes, socialized, learned to be scavengers around them, learned that socialization. I think what we were talking, Heather kind of expanded on it earlier or last week, was just kind of like how they are opportunistic creatures. And some genetically became so opportunistic that they would come to the village. They would eat the food. They learned that being social is a way that they got what they wanted. Obviously, not every tribe member or people within these villages wanted those dominant D dogs. But then again, that's how we got Cane Corso. We got the Molosser breeds, right? We took certain genetics that fit for what we needed and we utilized them. I mean, at the end of the day, the genetic code is still deriving from wolves. We can't get past that. I think it's a super conversation to say that they aren't from wolves. But
Well, it's not, because and you already told me how you feel or what you believe or whatever. But there's a separate conversation. Are dogs domesticated wolves, or are they created domestic? Like, if you read the Bible, which I don't know how you feel about that. Okay, if you believe in creation, then dogs were created domestic before we were created. They were already put here for us domestic.
Okay. That's
okay, then, yeah, so that's you know what I mean? That right there's got to change your whole viewpoint. If you believe that, you have to, you know what I mean? That's a whole different outlook on the situation. But at the same time, people have taken, and they still do it today, they take wolves and dogs and interbreed them. And
Yeah.
some of our breeds of dogs that we have wolf DNA in them. And in America, the gray wolf, the reason they have black pups is because they have dog DNA in them. And so do our coyotes. At least here in the Midwest, our coyotes are 8 to 12% dog, 8 to 12% wolf, and then the remaining, 75 to 80, because they're all different. They're not all exactly the same breakdown, but they're
Yeah.
a 75 to 85% coyote, and then 15 to 25% mix of wolf and dog.
Yeah.
And what I think is because the Indians had a wolf dog, a Native American wolf dog.
No, that makes total sense. So like going into like the whole Bible discussion, I think that's the difference between micro and macro evolution. I believe that
Yes,
I
yes, because
believe that
evolution,
what are you
yeah,
gonna say?
evolution is a part of creation.
Yes. Yes.
Absolutely.
So do I believe that there was more um what's the best word? Caveman style dogs, not as genetically finite as the ones we have, obviously, right? Um, but I also like understand because like when you do embarks on dogs, even though right, those 10% they don't label embark testing, nevertheless, I do agree that some dogs do carry coyote and wolf DNA. Um, maybe some obviously further along than others, but like going into microevolution, you got to start from something. You the genetic like I just saw on Instagram actually somebody just mixed an alligator gar with a goldfish, and now they're creating alligator gar goldfish. But we never, as a society, thought that that was genetically capable. But when two things hit the same waters, let's per se, or the same fields, it's really up to God kind of what goes about that. And I wouldn't be surprised that these old hunting dogs would go out because, you hear stories from your grandfather, parents, or whatever. Your dog goes out, hadn't came back from a hunting trip, but nevertheless, I'm saying a couple of weeks later, it comes back. Well, don't think that that dog wasn't trying to find some poo-tang, right? Like, you don't, like, let's be real about the conversation. And some of the dogs, like how they survive is if they're social, people accept them, right? They'll accept them into pounds, they'll accept them into shelters and things like that because they don't think much differently of them. But no, I agree with you for sure.
Yeah. Okay. So, um, then move on to the pack, the pack mentality, or the what do you, what would you label if dogs don't have a pack mentality? What would you label their social structure? Was my question to that person.
Man,
Like you got to call it something. If they're not like mentally, they're not like wolves, then you have to label their mentality and their social structure something. But also, what they said is basically dogs are a wolf puppy. They don't ever mentally mature. They stop at a certain point and just physically mature.
I think
But I mean, oh, go ahead. You're there. I hope you're not, you know, talking to a dead mic. But anyway, that's definitely affect your training methods if based on the psychology that you assign to your animal. What about you, Doc? What do you think about it? I'm trying to get trying to get some other panelists up here so I can go to YouTube and hand out wrenches. Hey, I see Tony's in the building. I missed you there. And see, I'm lost my guess, so I'm scrolling. All right, here's a message from him. What's it say? I'm gonna join the live back in 10 minutes. Family things, 1 second. All right. He had to duck out for about 10 minutes. So, anyway, I guess there's nobody, unless somebody else wants to hop up here and try to send you the link. I don't know how to put it in the chat. I can send it directly to you. But it's a deep topic because there's so many variables. But if you have dogs and wolves created domestic, wolves created wild, and there are certainly genetic differences. Dogs and wolves are 98.8% roughly related. So that means they're 1.2% different, which, as everyone knows, or at least geneticists know, in species, that's a lot. Like, that equates, because canines have roughly 19,000 coding genes in their DNA structure. So at 1.2%, that's a difference of 228 genes. Coding genes that dictate the mentality, the skull structure, the muzzle structure, the teeth, the size, the aggression, all that. But then when you mix dogs and wolves together, then you further complicate the situation. Well, what you got going for plants? So the Chem 91. Yeah, I could show off my mother plants, I guess. I never did show them off. I have Catahoula F2. I have those two, that's Chem 91 cross also. Then I have the Chem 91 cross from Toad. I have Goth Girl from Seed Person 1. I have Autoflower from J5. There's J5 420 right there. Let's see. Then I have two crosses for my cat piss. I crossed my cat piss to my F3, and I crossed my cat piss to that F2 mystery strain. Trying to get a skunky or a musky pheno out of that. So we got a bunch of those going. A bunch of my volunteers. I've got 3 different crosses. Volunteers dropped off the plant and sprouted. And then I just got my 5 mother plants. I'll go check them out. We got Cotton Candy, Skunk Number 1, Super Skunk, Kwazulu, Oh, what the hell's the other one? Can't remember now. I need to keep track of. What you up to, J5? Need the link? Yeah, I'm working on it. Trying to, it's like the dogs, filter through as much as I can, pick the best of the best, and toss the rest. The more shots you fire, the more chances you got of hitting the bullseye. And that's one reason I have such good dogs and progress so fast in my breeding, because I don't settle on just settle on what's available. Hard selection. Well, you guys are mouthy. There's a super skunk mother. She's been all hacked to shit. Cotton candy. Let's see what the other one was. What is she, Stinky? It's a Quazoo. What's this one? Oh, Biscotti. That's what this one is. Biscotti. A little rough. Yeah, my buddy just dropped these off today. I'm not sure what they had going on there. Some drought stress. We'll have them livened right up in a week or two. Make big giant trees out of them. Got 8 in the building. How many likes we got? I noticed that. And I forget, that's the thing. I forget what they say the statistics are. Like 5% of people hit the like button or something shit. But I noticed my ratio is way off. Views to like. Yeah, those I don't know if you caught it, J5. Those autoflowers are starting to flower. Not real big. They oh shit. They weren't a week old, and then we got that cold snap. It rotted some of my seeds, and being like 40 degrees, 30 degrees at night, being wet all the time. So everything went stagnant for a minute. Yeah, it's a thing. And plus they make it where you have to X out of the chat. Like you have to close out the chat and go back to the page. I don't know why the page doesn't show up first. So you can hit the sums. But anybody got any plants or anything they want to show off? No, I can send the link out. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know how to put it in the chat. I didn't really send out any. I guess I did a couple to new people, but I didn't send out any notifications. I figured everybody that comes here subscribed already. In a few minutes or in a few weeks, when we're talking. I'll put the plants out this morning. There's leaf hoppers. Slow down, Mutt. You're not very good at this. One of my band dog pups. It's a dominant one there. Yeah, I knew if I did that, you would move. Oh, a few months. Like 20 minutes. I'm looking at two different people's response. Well, what are we going to talk about for 20 minutes? Doc? Operation? Need somebody to come up here and talk about mushroom cultivation, maybe. You back, dog. You're breathing in my mic. Yeah. Yeah, I started this time slot because Seed Person 1 is supposed to be back online in a couple weeks. Probably most of you already know that. But I'm going to start looking for a new time slot. All right, Jay. And I'm also thinking about splitting my show up into two. One for the plants and one for the dogs. I'm not sure yet. I'd like to do more topics than just those two. Anyway, but it seems like the guests that I get to come on want to talk about dogs, and the audience is all my weed family. I got the cannabis community. So we'll see how it goes. But anyway, he's gonna be coming back for the Wednesday at 7. So I gotta move. I'm thinking Wednesday at 5 and or Sunday at 5. Checking it out, but I know when I took Jack's spot for that night, he was gone. I got like shit almost 500 views. So I'm thinking Sunday might be a better day for people or something. I'm not sure what it was. Oh, we got somebody knocking. Zion is back.
Yeah.
Can we hear you? Hey, I can
Yeah.
hear you. Check it out.
Yeah, I'm back now.
I'm gonna send out the link to Jay real quick.
All right. So I want to go back to that conversation we were having before I had to leave right quick.
Yep. I don't. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can
I
hear
don't
you.
think. Oh,
Oh, something happened. Hey, Anthro. Cheers, brother. Cheers. J5, I'm not that technical. You're mod, so I know one way you'll figure out how to post the link, but I ain't gonna be able to do it.
I sent it to him.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't. I'm on the phone and I don't know how to do that stuff. Like, um, I've been trying to get you and Heather up here talking so I can skip out for a minute and go to YouTube and hand out wrenches. But that's going to take me a minute because I got to remember how I did it. And yeah,
I get you.
so yeah, the hell.
But yeah, so I'll get back into the conversation. Um, so do dogs have pack mentality? I feel like it's a nuanced expression, right? What we might consider how wolves operate are obviously not the same how dogs operate. Um, but they look very, very, very similar, right? So a lot of times when we think of a pack, we think of an alpha and an omega, and that's just kind of how it's run. But if we look through how packs have been operating, especially in North America, we would see that this alpha dog and what we consider to be betas are very nuanced. Maybe old interpretations were more correct, and I would say that because genetics were preserved much differently, right? A wolf could be a wolf because there was no human to come along and have to press it, right? But if we just think of evolution in itself, that's died down because if we were hunters, we're going to go hunt out. We're hunting for wolves, we're hunting for things such as that, bears, possums, so forth, right? Those dogs that were dominant D dogs and they were able to go out and massacre these hunters, right? Because all they had were simple weapons. Once you introduced a gun, no wolf that wanted to go out and attack these hunters is able to be successful, right? That genetics gets set out of the pool, right? Dogs like that don't survive, right? So if we look at, say, working dogs, you would see that there are some dominant D dogs. Like when you get those dogs, those are like it takes a long time to be able to cultivate that dog. And if it went to police work, that would be an inner city dog. But even then, we still want more social dogs in the police world just because there's nobody with real training that can take a dog like that. Now, it may have a lot of gunpowder and spit into it, right? But a lot of trainers can't even get that to shine without getting tore up themselves. So if we go back to wolves, genetic markers and things in the genetic code had to be taken out for wolves to even survive in the modern day. Um, when we go to dogs now, do they have pack mentality? Um, Again, it looks similar. Very, very so much similar. Um, these dogs begin, I mean, also, keep in mind, these are if we're talking about evolution, these also had to derive from wolves that weren't as what we would call alpha, right? So I think you kind of explained earlier, caveman, these dogs are physically maturing, but mentally they aren't similar to what we might imagine being like, I don't know, Let's go all the way back. Dire wolves. Go sooner than that. Gray wolves. Um, mountain wolves. Things like that. Genetic code like that couldn't survive. So yes, they're never going to be that alpha dog that I worked for a man that had a Rhodesian Ridgeback. He would bring it to work every now and then. Those dang things are beautiful. Yes, they are. Um, my dog is street. Yes, sir. But yeah, so these what dogs even got weren't those pre-evolution wolves. The wolves that didn't have to necessarily be affected by human intervention, that didn't get popped for being that I'm going to come after you, because again that did not work. So we don't dogs don't have the full genetic capabilities as what the pre-existing wolves were before human intervention, but they still thrive off of bonds. They're still structure. They're still how dogs even are physically, right? How dogs interact when it comes to the mating scene. Again, these are things that are very similar to what we might see pack mentality, but pack mentality kind of goes for species or things in my head that have not necessarily came across humans and got to preserve that rawness, because it doesn't work in this today's society. Any alpha wolf that comes around will get popped by a 12 gauge, and everyone in this chat understands and knows that. And what does that mean? That dog will not pass on that genetic makeup. So yeah, that's my whole take on pack pack theory and how do dogs have it and what's a better word for it. Let's I think pack theory is a good word. And if we stop putting our brains in the bubble of this is what that is, but just kind of understand them, talk about modern day, yeah, they fit a pack structure for as good as we can define it. There's checks, there's balances, there's ways of eating. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I'd like to get a geneticist on here to talk about it because I don't I don't think God used evolution as a way to separate the wild and the domestic. I mean, I believe that they have both evolved since then, and like everything does. But my belief is actual gene editing, where they're two separate species.
Okay, that's
If you don't include the interbreeding, the hybridization sense, and
would
that is why we don't have the dire wolf, is because humans create
hey,
that.
did you hear
That
that they're trying to bring that back?
yeah, they already have, but it's
Yeah,
really just a dog. It's just a dog with a couple genes added to it.
yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know. So how I like in this, I'm not trying to get into a big ideology discussion, but I would say that God procreated the even the smallest things, right? I don't necessarily believe there were dogs and wolves separate, but I believe that there were canines, whether we say coyote, wolves, or etc., that God had made social enough to be introduced, and in that introduction, it allowed man to be able to add and disadd what they want for that particular area, environment, and I guess time of life. So I would say that that's God, and that's kind of my opinion. It's God just to
yep,
have a wolf that's less assholey than the other.
yep, yep. And And two, that's not really the point. The point is how does that apply to how we handle and train our dogs and treat her and think about what our dog's got going on in its head is the real
Okay.
point. You
Okay,
know,
I see. I see now. Okay. No, I get you.
it's not really a semantic or a doctrine debate. You know,
Yeah. I mean, when we talk
so
about training dogs, I think,
I mean,
I
to
mean,
me, it's like kind of like they said, the dog is basically a wolf pup. Like it has the same mentality as that wolf. It just never matures to that point where that wolf wants to take over. Now, when you have wolves or when you have dogs like the giant Malamute that have wolf genes in them, they absolutely do try to take over your house. You know, but to me, it's that I mean that basic. They are just genetically different. Where the dog never, the dog is always submissive to the human. The dog is here to serve the human. It never, um, or at least the original dogs were never intended to escalate to that point where they wanted to be independent of man. They were supposed to be a servant. But then, like I said, you take into account any dog that's been mixed with wolf, and you throw all that shit right out the window because now you're definitely dealing with a dog with a wolf mentality.
I think I'm seeing where you're going with this. I think you're cooking right now. No, I see where you're going with this. There's some there's okay, so you're saying that there are some no, because you're right. So there are some domesticated dogs that have been influenced by more wolf DNA than dog DNA.
Yep.
But there is such a big gap between what a wolf and a dog are. That's kind of where your point goes, and they're separate
Yep.
species.
Yep. And then you take like your mastiff type dogs and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And they're totally different.
Wow, I think I was on YouTube actually. No, you're totally right. No, I see where you're going. Cause
But yeah,
I mean,
basically, it's because I think you don't want to confuse it too much and tell people, "Oh, your dog don't think like a wolf," and then they're trying to train it like with that social structure and well, are they doing it right or doing it wrong? They need to know basically, or at least people need to start talking about it so they start digging and asking questions and start thinking about it themselves. Like, but I think sometimes people are just too quick to make some new discovery, like or to just get funding to make a study or something. I don't know. But to me, to say a dog doesn't have a pack mentality doesn't make sense.
so you feel like they do or they don't,
I feel like
or
they
that
do.
okay.
Yeah, I feel like they do. But I feel like they just don't try to take over. They are genetically they're born into a submissive role.
Yeah, no, I totally
I
agree
mean,
with you. I think Anthro just said it in chat. The distance of a dog to man is what determines domestic or wild. I mean, that's why I said I think
yeah,
it's such a nuanced way to think about it because the only
yep,
reason why dogs can't get to their full potential is because of humans, right?
yep.
If if you had a pup of or a litter of pups, right? And you just let them be, right? You gave them 40 acres. Even that 40 acres kind of is also human
People do
conflict,
that.
but still though, you just let dogs do what they do.
Yep,
I mean,
yep.
they might look different than wolves, but like how much more different is the social structure going to be compared to what you might see in the wild?
You know what the only difference is their abilities because they will. hunt and try to catch their own food, and I've had dogs that do it. In fact, my LGDs, they would just wait. The hounds would run rabbits, and the LGDs are smart enough to figure out, well, that rabbit's going to run down that trail right there when it makes its circle, and they would just wait and catch it. But yeah, it's just that like a lot of dogs are too stupid to catch a rabbit, or they're too slow. This Doc
Yeah,
knocking on the door again.
yeah, somebody, I don't know who it was, but like, I mean, I think someone mentioned like dogs are not predators, but they're opportunistic.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
and
sure.
and it's not, you gotta just think about it in any aspect. There's no predator that would go around if meals were laying around, right?
Yeah,
The
yeah,
If they understand that their environment is going to have meals provided, they will switch to an opportunistic mindset versus predator mindset
so do
because they don't
eagles.
have to waste, yeah, because they don't have to waste that energy in doing something where they know their environment's going to provide it. But I just know for my personal dogs, no, my personal dogs catch rabbits when I haven't seen, and they've devoured them slowly
Yep,
but surely, right? And
yep,
it was their own hunt, it was their own drive to do it. They didn't just stop at just tearing it apart, killing it. They went to the full 7 stages of predatory cycle to hunt, to, to find, to catch, to consume, and so forth. Like, if a dog is provided the opportunity, it's going to switch whatever social role it needs to fit to provide itself for food. And for like street dogs, right? Your environment's going to provide food, whether it's a dead bird, whether it's food being thrown out, whether it's even a puddle, right? In the concrete, right? These things are only depending on the environment that feel humans place for these dogs. Because I know my dogs would choose to be predators if the if it fits for them, right? If they have consistency, anything comes out of consistency, right? If your dog feels consistently good with hunting, it's gonna choose to be that dog. But like you said, some dogs are stupider and they can't go about the predatory cycle because they can't even get to the rabbit, right? So they're going to have to
yep,
switch to being that social dog, that dog that goes and finds particular food at that certain, gas station, restaurant, and so forth. But I mean, I think that's just life. So I agree.
yep. That's a dog's life, to help people and eat off of our surplus or our waste. But yeah, when you get dogs like that, like I would maintain that your dogs are the wolf type dogs. I mean, your one dog's got bulldog in it, right? But
Yeah. I mean, that's the only exception is it's the bulldog.
when it's got that shepherd and then that
Yep.
Akita. I mean, they're both close to a wolf type.
Yeah, my Akita is like, again, he's a Russian bear hunting dog. So these genetics were preserved since the Ming Dynasty, right? These dogs were created to they were split off genetically to be bears or what we consider to be catch dogs. Um, and then from there, like, I'm not trying to get too much into Akita genetics, but from there they became more personal protectors. Why? Because guns existed, right? Trapping existed. It was a lot of energy and money to keep your dogs, but you still like your dogs, so now they can be protectors. That's what the Akita developed into. But then World War II hit, and the people of the land of Japan, of the Akita province, they had to eat these dogs. They had to survive, right? And so for the American German soldiers who came about of this Japanese dog, they they then bred them with German Shepherds. That's kind of why you have this bigger, bold-faced dog. So we talk about the DDR German Shepherds. How if you look at an American Kita and a DDR German Shepherd, They have the same physical kind of face. Obviously, there's Akita mixed into it, but that's kind of the genetics. Is that American soldiers had to bring them back, but not to have truancy happen, they had to breed them with their DDR German Shepherds. So that's why we have the distinct versions between Japanese and the American.
Yeah. Yep. Thanks, Operation. You got a lot of compliments on our show. People like the conversation between us three.
Yeah, thank you, Operation. I appreciate it.
Anthro. Yeah.
Anthro's always in the chat making some good comments.
Yeah.
And
That's all we
Western,
got with us right now is the regulars. Yeah. There's only 7. It says. Yeah. It's all the diehards, the regulars that been here from the beginning. They all
nothing
come from
wrong
the
with that.
They all come from the cannabis community. But I was just talking about that earlier while you was dealing with that, and they like the dog talk. So
Hey, I
yeah,
wanted to ask you something. What do you define to be so LGDs? That's a dog you have, right?
that's what I used to have. I have one now. I have one of my pups, my last generation, my like last
Hmm.
breeding. I have one of those pups. I switched gears. I used to do LGDs and big game hounds, but I'm going to more of the protection now. And like with the band dogs, I want a hunting and protection, dual purpose dog. And then with the I did use the LGD in my Shepherd program, which really
Okay.
nice results. Those dogs are like superhuman almost.
No, that's really awesome. You know, it's funny, honestly, I'm getting more back into hunting.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think I'm gonna continue to decoy, but I don't know, man. Retrieve work, with my dogs, there's just something special about it.
hounds is where the fun's chasing dogs around the woods, listening to dogs singing. Now you can get a Garmin, put a tracker on them. You can watch it on your screen. Your dog, you know,
Yeah, yeah, that's actually why. So my bull herder, he's neutered, but I've been I'm not like this isn't toot my own horn or anything, but like even when I'm presented something that doesn't offer me everything I want, with like being able to understand behavior and training itself, I've been able to shape a lot of things. And my Akita is a very dual purpose hunter. He'll go out there, he'll search by himself, he'll sit as retrieve. Um, and I've been thinking about it. I've been really wanting to, and I don't care what anyone says. I want to create my own breeding that's going to fit what I like to do, and I still want to be more concrete on what I want to do. I want to, if I'm going to get into hunting, I want to get into hunting, right? But I've been thinking about mixing him with a good dog that's going to offer me more of the capabilities that maybe I'm lacking. And the only lacking part that I'm having is he's more of an independent dog. Without an e-collar, without consistent training, he would be more of an independent hunter, which give him that. That's what he's supposed to do. So retrieving work is the easy thing for him is to go out to find, to hunt, to search, to get. The one problem is the wanting to do it for the owner. Now that's come with consistency and training, understanding there's no other way to go about that. But yeah, no, I'm thinking about mixing this Akita with a good, I'm thinking a good maybe European lab. I'm thinking something with some solid, more companionship genetics. with insane hunt drive to topple what he already has. I think that's where I'm at right now.
Yep. Yep, that sounds good. And you're wanting to do retrieval work with them, mainly, or you're wanting to like be able to free cast them on game and be able to handle them off leash and shit.
Yeah, so I don't know if this is the right wording. No wording changes, but I want a utility dog. Or no, a
Yep.
versatile hunter. That's what they're called. They're called versatile hunters. I want a dog, and I can split this genetics up when I start analyzing the dogs that I have, but I want a dog that bears size. So if I want to have a catch dog for small hogs,
Yep. American Bulldog.
raccoon, yeah. And
Yep.
I also want a high hunt drive for that free
Yep.
casting to go bay up
Yep.
squirrels, to go bay up possums. But and all, if able to train in these genetics, a dog that will sit for a retreat. I personally like retrieving, but we're talking about hunting. You only get a couple of months worth of the season, right? So I want a dog that's versatile in what it
Yep.
does.
Right. Yep. So you can hunt year round. Yeah, I would recommend going to a protection club and finding somebody that's got a good line of working American Bulldogs that's got good prey drive, which they should have, and that'd be a badass combination.
Yeah, that's honestly what I've been thinking about is bulldog genetics. I either want to do bulldog genetics or I'm gonna do honestly, if I
English
can
Lab,
find a
they're pretty
if
big
yeah,
too.
if I can find an English lab that has some good piss and vinegar in it, like some good piss and vinegar or like a good working line golden retriever. Oh,
Yeah,
that
yeah,
would
those dogs can be hard.
yeah, people don't think that because they see the more diluted versions, but like the golden retrievers I know, they'll bite you. They would bite you like they want what they want and they're good working dogs.
Yep, and I just watched a video of one throwing down with a bulldog the other day. Or no, that was today. Seen that video. Yeah, he was handling it too. He was bigger, not bigger dog, but they're pretty stout, pretty wide, pretty
Yeah,
heavy, pretty yeah, they're pretty. They got some nerve.
yeah. But I don't want to keep this dog. I just need a good breeding female that I can pay somebody a good $1,000 for a good litter to start my journey. Because I tried not to have too many females, and the females I like to keep are like genetic masterpieces.
Oh, there you are. I was wondering why you wasn't coming. She likes to do that. I call her. She don't come because it's already inside.
You guys have any questions? Any things you want to talk about? Yes, Plots and Curs are cool dogs. Really cool dogs, honestly.
Yep, I like plot hounds. My buddy Tom's a big plot hound fan.
I could have. I mean, shoot, even a good cur dog. I would if there's a female cur dog out here. Yeah, I'll do that too.
Um, Yellow black mouse cur is probably the best thing for what you want,
Yeah, that's what I was
or the
thinking.
right Catahoula. Most of the other curs are small, small and light.
Yeah. So my Akita right now, he's sitting at a good. I think I dropped him down in weight, kept him lean. I think from a week ago, I think I said he was like 95 pounds. Right now, I got him at like I think it's 88 of this morning. He's been doing he had a bunch of waterway and things like that, but I'm looking to get my breeding program to the good size of, honestly, 62 to about 66 pounds. Like I don't want too small of a dog because I want a dog that can handle big game, but I don't want too big so the endurance is lacking. So I think you're completely right. I think if I find the dogs that I'm looking for that are small enough, I think I'm gonna find that good middle ground.
Hmm.
Silent.
Yeah, one thing about hunting dogs is the manageability in size and the ability to feed a pack of them. And that's why everyone doesn't have a pack of good working Great Danes for hog dogs. Because it's a lot cheaper to feed curs and a bulldog than it is a pack of Great Danes.
Do the sizes of the litter, aren't the sizes of the litter pretty small for Great Dane or no?
And actually, just the opposite. They're some of the biggest litters you'll
Oh,
ever find will come from a Great Dane or a Bloodhound. But Great
oh,
Dane usually more. Yeah, you're talking 14 is pretty common. 18, 20 happens. 14 to 18 probably is average for a Dane.
oh
Um,
shoot!
yeah,
See, I didn't know that. Because when I'm
yeah.
thinking Great Danes, I'm thinking, I mean, I would keep four of them if that was my pack and they were like versatile. Like, yeah, I'll keep four. But you're saying like that's huge right there.
Yep, yep. And your hounds, they usually only have about 10. LGDs, they have big litters too. This one has like 10 to 14 at a time.
See, my how I like to do my pack. This is just my personal way. I like to have two to three solid dogs, very versatile dogs. And then when they get to about the age of 6, I like to get that second litter going and again keep to that 2 to 3 range. I like to keep two solid dogs at a time, 2 to 3 solid dogs at a time. But I do know the cur community, they have a lot of dogs on their kennel at a time.
Yeah, because, well, I mean, when you're breeding animals for performance, you won't just have a pair of them or a male and a couple females. You will have a bunch of animal, whatever the animal is, you will have a bunch of them, and you'll be sorting through all the dogs or whatever the animal is, and then you'll be breeding them. You'll be sorting through all the different combinations of your breeding, sorting through all the pups to find those good ones, those standouts. Because otherwise there's no point. You can get mediocre dogs everywhere, just like you get mediocre weed everywhere. There's no point growing it
Yeah,
or breeding dogs unless you're gonna produce some top notch shit. Because yeah, there's too many people just doing run of the mill curs. Man, like when I started my hounds, I had 9 hounds that I got, and um, threw 2/3 of them right out of the breeding program right away. Sent them to pet homes. Then I bred those, and I picked, like one or two puppies from each litter that were the standouts. And I mean, when you do that, like say you go get 10 dogs, 10 Akitas off the street. However many of them you disqualify from your breeding program, that's where you put yourself, in the quality of your production. If you're breeding with just whatever you can get your hands on versus sorting through them all and throwing away 8 out of 10, well, you
yeah,
put yourself in the top 20% right from the start. Well, then you reproduce those and you pick the top 10, 20% out of those.
Yep.
And yeah, it makes a big difference. So just taking your chances. Oh, I got a German short hair. I guess I better look through the paper and see who's got a male. Oh, this one's closest. He only wants 350. Or he just wants a puppy. Then you got to pay him. So I'm going to use that one. That's not how you breed. But on the flip side, that's why I said that's what makes the world go round. That is one thing that keeps the dog world alive. Is the same thing that keeps the wild from being inbred and dying off is random breeding. So it's all got its place, but my place is, you know what I mean, the elite, best of the best.
Yeah. I mean, that's how breeding should be. You know, you want to get up to that top percent. I mean, I want to have the best dogs. I mean, it's how these dogs are created. These particular breeds, like the German short-haired pointer, or even the wired, right? It's like if I'm gonna produce something, I want to not produce something mediocre. I want to produce something top notch. That's the whole goal for it. I want to make something that fits my hunting style, but gives me the most. Gives itself its heart and soul when working with me. And to find that, you can't be just picking anything for sure. You got to be particular with what you want.
Yep. Yeah, because when you, even like the hounds, most people breed them for drive, like you do a game dog, and you can't
Yeah,
handle them. I mean, you can catch them, but they don't listen. They got one thing in mind. See you at the end of the night or next week or whatever. So yeah, there's a fine line there. And I always bred my hounds. That's one of the ways I selected my dogs. I mean, it's just one of the pieces. I would take my dogs for a walk when they were too young, or when they were just when they didn't know how to hunt, but they were old enough to want to range out. Or if I got a new dog, I'd take it out and just turn it loose, or turn them all loose, and see who checks back with me, or see who just disappears.
yeah.
And selected that right at first generation. I selected that shit right out. So I ended up
I'm gonna
keeping
keep
three
all
out
of
of
them in
nine.
mind. 3 out of 9.
Yep. And then one, sometimes two litters, or two pups out of the litters that I made with those. That's not the thing. I used three different hound breeds. I used a Walker, a red bone, and a black and tan. So then I had some line breeding I could do too. Having having two litters sired from two different females with the same stud. Yep, I had some nice ones. I sent dogs to Montana to hunt lions and up north to hunt bear.
Oh shoot!
Yep, and they actually that dog that I sent up to Gaylord, they take him out west lion hunting with him too. It's his daughters that are out in Montana.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was
That
pretty
no, that's
neat.
so awesome.
Yeah, but all those LGDs and hounds I had were all too friendly. They like people too much.
So they wouldn't want to cast out or anything like what do you?
Oh yeah, they did. Yeah, but they were, they would cast out, and if they didn't find anything within a certain range to chase, they would come back to you, or at least they would come back, but they wouldn't just stay with you. They'd come back and see if you was there, and then they cast out a different, make a circle in a different direction or something. They did. There's some dogs, you drop the tailgate, and those dogs will just run and run and run and run until they find a hot track. And if that
Yeah,
it just so happens that the only coon is a mile and a half away, they're gonna run over there until they run into it.
that's one thing
I
I've been
can't.
lucky with my dogs. I've tracked them on a Garmin before, and they've casted over miles before. My Akita, I've seen my Akita go, I think 2.1 miles away from where I'm at, chasing a deer at the end of the day. But it was that
See, that's
it's a weird
dangerous.
thing. Yeah, I actually it was
You-
I didn't it wasn't that I wanted him to. The prongs on this dog, the prongs on the e-collar stopped working, so I could still track this dog, but I couldn't recall him back at all. So I literally had to go and chase him. Then we found each other in the middle.
Yeah, you're right, Anthro. They do have hound in them. Some of them. You see, there's different. Pit bulls is a loose term. If you tested all the pit bulls, they're not all genetically the same. Even the line bred ones, they mix Tosa into one line and mix Greyhound into one line, mix Bulldog back in, and mixed Hound in, and about anything you can think of. That's why you got curs. That's what they did with the curs. People forget that, like people with little means, they just use whatever they have. So if they get a hold of a game dog, that game dog is breeding every dog they have. It doesn't matter what it is. And they're testing those puppies. And eventually they're going to make a line. And you might not be able to tell with the naked eye if you're not experienced that it's mixed. But yeah, they just do what they got to do to make dogs. This romantic fairy tale about these dogs coming over in this pure form from England and remaining that way, and all of them being all bred the same. That's horseshit.
Agreed.
Very few people kept pure lines. And I mean, how did you get the American pit bull? You had to mix it with something. You didn't, you know what I mean? You didn't turn the
Not wrong
Staffordshire
about
Bull
that.
Terrier, huh?
I said you're not wrong about that.
Yeah, you didn't turn the Staffordshire Bull Terrier into what these dogs are. And I mean, and we see, like, take the American Bully. How long did the Amstaff, and they still do it actually, but how long did the Amstaff, before it was designated as its own breed, how long did the Amstaff and how long did the American Bully run under the American Pit Bull Terrier registry? They were absolutely positively mixed. Well, first off, they mixed them with the English Bulldog and then Mastiff and everything else since. But, well, they did the Mastiffs pretty early on too.
Yeah.
But they were running under American Pit Bull Terrier. They were registered that way before they broke off. So you telling me the pit bulls don't have that in them? Yeah.
I think you said something about the AKC.
Yeah. There's
You
another.
know, once you get a breed that says it's a breed, they take out the rest of the genetic makeup. Like
Yep. And rename it.
corresponding, yeah, they rename it. They rename it. So when you do an embark test or whatever it might be on a dog, before it's going to say, like you said, English Bulldog, Staffordshire Terrier, maybe a
Yep.
Mastiff.
Yep.
Now, since they designated that as a breed, That genetic
Right.
code, whenever it pops up, is just that new breed, but not the old
Right.
pre-existing genetic markers of the old one.
Exactly. Because
I think that would be more accurate.
they supply the genetic material to make them rules up. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah. So yeah, how legit is that? Not that it matters, you know. And at the end of the day, it's all about the dogs. And as soon as people quit worrying about all that other horse shit, they'd enjoy the dogs a lot more.
you're not wrong. I wish they kept it. I wish instead of labeling things as they are, just keeping it raw and pure as much. Because I bet there's people in this chat understand this. You ever get a dog that you thought was the dog you're supposed to get? Like it was mixed with this bloodline and that bloodline. You maybe later found out that has nothing of what you were told, but it's still a good dog. I
Yeah.
think I would, if even for my Akita genetics, if I found out that it had 30 years worth of DDR German Shepherd, I would like to know that just out of just like curiosity. Like we could call it an American Keto, we can call it a Spitz dog, we can call it whatever we want. It's my dog, but it's cool to know what my dog has in it to create what it has in it.
Like Silent Truth needs to flip his camera around so we can see his plants. I think that's probably what he did, ducked out to do that.
Yeah, it's a
Reading the
type of
chat
bulldog
here.
here. The curs are bulldog hounds that hunt. The gritty dog, aggressive top fought, same as Catahoula's. American bulldog types are bigger pit bulls. Or American bulldogs types are bigger pit bulls, while Patterdale Terriers are opposite end of the spectrum. Yep, yep.
Yeah, people
Agree
forget
with
how. Like, I think a lot of people think that, like let's say a Boston Terrier and a German Shepherd. I think they were just born out of the earth that way, created by nature. They don't understand nothing about the ancestry and history of dogs and breeds, any of that. It's just like, well, when I was born, there was German Shepherds, but once you mix that with something else, you're adulterating it. It's like, why don't you just leave the breeding up to the breeders? Because you don't understand that that's how this dog was made. It's a inbreeding of an outcross. You know what I mean? Somebody made an outcross or several, and they inbred them until they all look the same. Humans did that. Why? You know what I mean? Why are they credible and I'm not? Oh, because they're dead. You know, that was 300 years ago. So, yeah, they don't understand the working dogs and the working cattle, the working horses, the working chickens, everything, the plants, they're all hybrids.
Hybridized. It's a pure Afghan strain right there, Ortega. Uh, the rest of them, I think, are hybrids.
Yeah, most likely are polyhybrids.
Yeah. Well, there's sweet skunk and other ones, blueberry muffin, Kush mints, and Chem 91. And these are like mostly more blueberry muffins.
Yeah, I'm not really familiar with the lineage on plants, like to trace it back, the parent
Well,
line.
I just want old original singular stuff before it was crossed. If I
Yeah,
want to cross it, I'll cross it myself. But I already tried doing that, and it doesn't always work.
yeah. What do you mean, like the seeds aren't worth growing, or the breeding
Well,
doesn't work?
I crossed Ortega with the purest indica, which is like the original Northern Lights, the Steve Murphy Afghan, and I grew probably like 50 of them out, or like 30 or 40 of them, and they all, once I put them into flower, they all hermed. Like,
Oh yeah,
yeah,
that's no good.
that's no good. Maybe if they were outside, they wouldn't do that because the seeds were made outside. So there's that theory as well.
Oh, that depends on how stressful your indoor grow was, but
It wasn't. So that's
yeah.
why it's kind of weird, you know.
How long into the flower cycle did they
Oh,
herm?
it's only like a couple weeks,
Right. Oh no
and they
shit.
start throwing balls everywhere.
Hmm.
So, like, I don't know. Maybe it was because the mother plants I used were clones, and
Now I'm gonna say that was genetic for them to
yeah,
do that. Or
well, or
was you
take as well.
spraying anything on them?
No, there's just
You weren't
natural
full.
overall
You
outside.
weren't fully feeding them.
No,
That's about the only thing. I mean, besides genetics, the only way that happens is if somehow you block the copper.
yeah, if you did something to mess up the hormones and shit, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, cytokinin.
Yeah, but I don't think I did.
Yeah.
So I don't. My only theory is the female plants that accepted the pollen were clones, and those clones eventually hermed, but most of the Purus indica does that anyway later in flower. If the leaves are shading the lowers, anyhow, it will throw a ball here or there. It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to do anything.
When you
Yep.
guys
And if
say
that
balls, what does that mean?
Well, there's
pollen
either
sac,
a pollen sac, or then later in flower it will be a banana, which is a
yep,
pollen sac that
anthers.
come out,
Yep.
anthers that come out of the bud.
Yeah, that's the female version
Yeah,
of
that's
pollen.
basically the
Okay.
plant reversing itself, trying to survive.
Oh, okay. Dropping knowledge. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
This is probably why my weed, why when I did grow weed, it did not go that well.
Uh,
Well,
yeah, I'm gonna say
back
that
in
was
the day, you
genetic.
had better luck.
Were those feminized seeds?
No, well,
No.
they might have been because I think it was the seeds for the plant came from a self plant, so it was
Right.
a naturally feminized plant. So, but like I said, like a couple of them later in flower through balls, and those were clones of those ones. And I just had put them outside to use as mothers, and probably wasn't the best. You know.
Yeah. Yep. That's just a genetic trait, especially in the Thai. But the only problem is the reason we don't get rid of those fucked up traits in cannabis is because there's a lot of good traits that are piggybacked off
Well,
that handicap in those plants.
you know, my friend told me, he said, all the good ones, they'll throw bananas later in flower. Like,
Yeah.
like Chem 91, all the good ones. You
Yep.
know,
Yeah, because they got that tie in them.
they got something in them that just
Yeah.
doesn't
It's that
agree.
tie. Yep. That's a genetic trait. And when you breed that way, you breed herm seeds. You grow herm seeds. You have to sort through a lot of them
Oh, yeah.
or outcross them.
These were all Pierce indicas that were just straight run seeds from Todd that I recreated with a male and a female last year. And I swear to God, I started 40 of them, and most of them are all males. But I found a couple that are females now.
Hmm.
Sometimes they can fool you a little bit, but I've got
Yep.
a pretty good eye for it at this point.
Yeah. When I was breeding my strain, I had a certain part of the line that the females threw some really weird um, calyx to where you almost thought that it
Oh
was a
yeah,
male.
I've seen that before.
And yeah, if you didn't wait, you would yank those plants thinking they were males, and they weren't.
Well, I got one over here on the ground right there. I swear it was a female, but a couple weeks later, it was definitely a male. So that tells you everything right there.
Yep.
This one Ortega right here, like I think I want to put it outside eventually. I'll try to leave everything I can inside, and if it starts harming, I'm just gonna throw it outside. But this one smells like cat piss. I like that
Nice.
one. I think that's another one over there. That one's a real bushy one. And then you got skunk ones and sweet skunks. And those are all pierced indica down there, and that's the replacement I put in for that one. I think it was a skunk one that I pulled out that was male that I thought was female. But I was looking through them all. I'm like, they're all fucking males. And I finally found a female, so I threw it in there. It's already gained a little height, so that's good. All the ones in the back are crosses I made the first year I grew. It's Blue Haze times Cherry Pie times Huckleberry Kush. There's like 3 different phenos that come out of it. I got a bunch of seeds of it still, but there's a broadleaf version and then 2 like narrow leaf versions. I like the narrow leaf version better than the broadleaf. But it's like blueberries and cherries, like straight fruit, and it's skunky. It's got a weird sagey skunk smell to it. Other day,
I got a few skunky ones. I'm hoping some of them carry through till the end.
yeah.
I hate it when the plants start out skunky, and then by the time you get done flowering them, they don't.
The other day, I was standing out in the back door. I was like, "Why does it smell like a skunk out here?" To my mom, I was like, "There's a skunk out here," and I'm like, "That's not the plants behind the garage. They don't smell that much." And then I'm like, I walked around the house. I'm like, "Oh, that's coming from the exhaust from inside." Oh, that's good. I like that. But yeah, gotta whittle stuff down. I don't trust that skunk number 1 from Todd to not harm inside. Outside probably fine, but
I wonder where this skunk number 1 I have is from, because they don't. As far as I know, they don't have any issues with it.
Amsterdam or something.
What's that?
Could have been an earlier version of it from Amsterdam, but it's probably still from Skunkman Sam originally.
Yeah.
Should we find out this?
Well, I've grown it before,
Waiting for you.
and it didn't. The one I had didn't harm, but it definitely wasn't skunky. It was the most beautiful, perfect growing plant you ever want to see, and the weed just wasn't. I mean, it was midzy.
Okay,
But
yeah,
this is a different cut, I believe. I
I
haven't run this one before.
grew the sweet, or I actually grew the sweet skunk last summer, but had root aphids, but beat the root aphids. But I gave some of the plants to my friend, and he really liked it, so I decided to pop a bunch more of them this season. I think the sweet skunk's probably better than the skunk number 1. I don't know, because I didn't try growing it. After I had read about it on the forums, I was like, oh, it just terms and it doesn't smell like a skunk.
Yep, makes me glad that I made my own seeds years ago.
Yeah.
All these herm stories.
Oh God, it's the market is saturated with all this crap, and it's like everybody's fixated on the THC percentage when the reality is that high THC percentage stuff doesn't keep you buzzed for more than like an hour. You know?
Yeah. Well, a lot of it too is those are false numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. For one, they cheated to get those numbers.
Well, that's
and
true.
on top of that, they they also optimize those flowers to get those numbers, which they do not do in a commercial grow setting.
Right. They did that
They,
for the report.
yeah, and then they just let it run over and over and over until they get some more weight. It's past its prime.
Well, yeah. Like my friend, he was dating this girl from that worked at a facility in Rhode Island. They used to cut shit like 5 weeks. Clones, they cut like 5-6 weeks, regardless if it was done or not, because they just had to make quota.
Yeah. Well, for one thing, THC is not the most potent cannabinoid.
No.
It's the first one, the psychoactive one that they discovered. It's the easiest one to test for.
Yeah.
Is why they talk about it. That's a government thing.
Yes.
To a connoisseur, THC is almost irrelevant. It does make a difference, but when you have other cannabinoids that are 30 times more potent,
yeah,
okay, 2% of that will outweigh any numbers of THC that you can possibly produce. And that's not even taking in the entourage effect.
Yeah.
That CBD level. CBD makes a big difference. CBD slows down your body metabolizing the THC.
And then the other thing I heard was like, always that like if you ate too many like edibles that were THC, you could take some CBD and that would calm you down.
That's exactly why.
But I also heard from somebody else that they had the opposite effect. So not everybody has the same receptors, or they're not the same.
Yeah, I heard the same too, but here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that person wasn't high on like THCV or something in the stimulus spectrum. I'm thinking they were stoned on like the myrcene type shit.
Oh, okay.
And then the CBD is going to be even more calming, because you're not dealing with THC in the first place from them effects.
Yeah.
Where I'm guessing dealing with CBN and myrcene.
Yeah.
So yeah, the CBD is just going to give you more of a relaxed feeling, more of a sedative feeling.
Well, what I was saying is like they would take the CBD and they would just get higher. They wouldn't get like calmed down.
Huh.
Yeah.
The anomaly. See, rules are made to be broken.
Well, yeah, it's probably a recurrence too, I would imagine, if it sort of studied science,
That's why I try not to make too many blanket statements, because rules are made to be broken. Every once in a while, you get a.
And I've never even really tried that. Like, I've never like been like, oh, well, I did too much THC, and now I'm going to try taking some CBD. But
no, but I might try some CBD now to see if it gets me higher.
It's possible.
Yeah, I had no interest in CBD before, but if it'll get me higher. Can I just smoke more weed?
If you mix it in and then it helps, or it helps with the pain or something, then I could see that.
No, yeah, it does. Yeah, I think my one strain has CBD in it. I've never had it tested, but just going by the effects.
Yeah.
And the creeper effect to the THC and the pain relieving effects, I think it's got CBD in it, pretty high.
All right. Well, I wanted to hop on, say hi, and show some stuff off. I'm gonna hop off, cook some dinner.
Yeah, appreciate it. Yep.
See you
Everybody
guys.
likes to look at plants, and
Yep.
we got to do something to fill in the time slot. We got another 20 minutes before Jack Greenstock comes on.
Okay.
So I know you were over there too, right?
I'm on the East Coast, so like an hour before.
I mean, you in that chat.
Oh, yeah.
You watch?
Yeah, I check in over there. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought so. It's hard to keep track of what I see in
Well,
what chat.
shows are on the same day at the same time.
Who is?
Well, a lot of shows are on the same day at the same time.
Yeah, I know it. Yep, that's why I'm on right now.
Now I think that you picked a good slot.
Yep, because like I said, Seed Person 1 is getting ready to fire his channel back up. So there goes the Wednesday at
Okay.
7. So,
I see what you're saying there.
yep.
All right. Well, I'll talk to y'all later.
All right. Take care. Thanks for coming.
Yep.
All right, what we got going on in the chat? Let me. Mercy. Is that how you spell that? I wasn't sure. Yep. We got any mushroom cultivators in the chat? Yep. That's right, Operation. Throwing away all the good stuff. Trying to bottleneck it down. I think that's designed that way, though. I don't think this goes over their heads. I think they did that on purpose. I'm think they're full aware of what's going on. Ortega maple leaf. Never had that. Well, I might have smoked it, not knowing what it was, but yeah, THC numbers are fake. They take the plant, run it till it's prime, right before it starts bulking up, putting on any weight, and it's just full of prime THC and cannabinoids. And they dry it right out. And a lot of them also, they'll take keef from the trim and sprinkle that on the buds. And I believe there's some marijuana experts would know, but there's a way to like bond it to the bud. I don't know if it's like static or how they do that, but you can bond that keef right to the buds. Well, that throws the numbers way up. Well, of course, when you're buying that, they're not doing any of that. What else we got in here? Late showing males, the ones that make, check twice a day to see if they're showing. And why is that? You busy? You got 18 minutes. Grab that link and explain. And I've heard that same thing from a lot of expert breeders. They'll say they don't say that, but what they say is throw the first one away. The first one to show, get rid of it. Junk. I can tell you, I actually agree, unless I'm breeding for harvest time, which I did that too on another strain, but I go for the later maturing males because I believe they are more equatorial dominant and more likely to produce the cannabinoids that I'm looking for. And it's already proven that the longer flowering strains make the more complex cannabinoids. Patterdale had a yellow lab version. That'd be a good comparison to my little street dog Stella. Sounds like a black mouth cur kind of. Autos need huge spots to thrive. Mine are in the ground. But I might even do that tonight. Plant some fresh ones to get more of a better season. In fact, we got some moderate temperatures and overcast and drizzle coming up in this next week. Be a good time to germinate seeds. Get them up out of the dirt. Here, 60s weed had no mercy. No wonder we went crazy when we. Yeah. Yeah, 60s weed I can't speak on because I wasn't there, but I'm gonna guess you were smoking um like Thai, Lebanese, stuff like that, the equatorial kind. See, when I was in school in health class, marijuana was classified as a stimulant. And if you remember all them old strains, some imported strains that was grown overseas, that's what you just said right there. They didn't have mercy, and that comes from the Afghan. You know, they were uplifting, stimulating, high. Thin leaf plants. And if you remember how little bit of that weed in a paper, a little pinner joint between 2, 3, 4 people, how much intoxication, I guess you would call it, come from that little bit of that dry brown weed that had no trichomes on it and had seeds and stems and leaf in it. You think of how good that was, how potent that was. I'd like to get that stuff shipped over here fresh. Trichome still attached. But I don't know, part of it too might be the curing process. That has a lot to do with it. If the cannabinoids are oxidized before you get them, big difference on what you feel. AKA GG4. Yeah, I don't have any of that. I know that's another herm plant. Even the people I knew that grew it outside, I hermed on them. Yeah, that was a long time ago. I caught the tail end of it. Nobody 12 minutes brave. Well, I guess we'll cut this, give everybody 12 minutes, get ready for cheap home grow. Me too, as a matter of fact. Maybe I'll walk the dogs for a minute. I just planted auto. Auto comes in between. Nice. Oh, hush. Oh, there's nobody here. Be quiet. You leave my fucking chicken alone. All right, everybody. Thanks for coming. Thanks for hanging out. And see you Wednesday night if you make it. And I'm probably going to do this every Sunday. I'm not sure if I'm going to do this Wednesday before Seed Personal One or not. But probably definitely coming to the 5 o'clock Sunday spot when he comes back. And he's supposed to come on my show the week before when he gets ready. He'll relaunch his channel. Well, I wonder if I can get over to YouTube right now, actually. Hand out wrenches. I do that before I hang up. Huh. Well, poopy. Yeah, I don't know. I'll have to try it. Next time I get somebody to come on, keep the show rolling while I dick around with this. Remember how I did it.